In order to understand why do we need to use EMG recordings, I have to say a few words about what is EMG. EMG is the electrophysiological activity of the muscle when it is activated by the motor neurons. Basically, it is an accumulation of all the action potentials of the muscles, uh, which are recorded with a bipolar electrode, which means 2 points placed on the muscle through the skin. And what you see on your recording is the rapid fluctuation of a frequency from about 50 to 100 hertz. From the point of view of psychophysiology, you can use certain very specific facial muscles like corrugator supercilii to evaluate the emotional balance, emotional pleasantness or unpleasantness. The negative emotion, stress, tension is activating the frowning of the face, sometimes very small, but it is enough to have an increased electromyographic activity of this muscle. Okay. Those are two electrodes for bipolar lead of the EMG, which I am going to place here or over there, doesn't matter which side, over the corrugator supercilii muscle to measure the activity of the muscle, which makes us frown the eyebrows. And the third electrode is placed somewhere on the head for the grounding, which makes the line noise of 50 hertz somewhat smaller. Let's see if it works. Okay. The two main electrodes must be placed just next to each other over the area where the muscle is located. The principle is the same for any kind of muscle, not necessarily this one, but since I use it a lot in my work, I think it is relevant to demonstrate this particular setting. In case of too much line noise, 50 hertz, it's relevant to apply some abrasive paste on the skin to reduce the impedance of the skin electrode interface. And then you can also apply some conductive gel for the same purpose. This is an adequate setting for an EMG recording. The amplifier is labeled EMG, and the data acquisition block, we use just one channel, which is A1 here. The apparatus is adequately charged, so we can switch it on. We need to make sure that our Bitalino is well connected by the Bluetooth. Here we see the device, and the EMG mode is activated for the first channel. And as soon as we click on this red button, the recording is started. Sometimes it bugs. Well, let's see if we run it another time. Does it go or not? So what we see here is a pretty clear baseline without too much of the line noise. And if you scale, you see that almost nothing happens here. Very little of the amplitude. But if I intentionally frown the eyebrows, now you see the response. It can be brief, it can be prolonged. And in case of spontaneous activity, it can be very subtle and few spikes, few rapid variations, and you don't see it without properly organizing experiment with many repetitions and extraction of the amplitude of the signal, which is stored there offline. But it is really critical that there is no much line noise. I don't know how to demonstrate what is the line noise. Yeah, that's this is when I grab a cable connected to the outlet. You see this 50 Hertz regular sinusoid, and this is bad. You prefer to avoid it in your data recording. Of course, you can say we can filter it later, but the problem is that EMG include this 50 Hertz spectral frequency, and it is better to avoid it when you do the recording. So, hope this demonstration is useful. And this is how the signal we have just recorded looks when it is extracted in MATLAB. You can pretty easily scale the responses and to look what is it like. So you can see pretty well the onset of the reaction. This is basically the baseline with some kind of noise which can come from motion, slight tonic muscular activity, but this is obviously the intentional response. As I told you, the amplitude of the response you get during spontaneous emotional reactions, slight activations of the muscle will be most likely something like this, very slight, very low amplitude, and therefore you need to do multiple trials to get a decent signal to noise ratio after averaging up. If it is an imitation task, then you can reduce the number of trials greatly, because at the level of a single trial you already see pretty well when the response is there, and you can compare, I don't know, what might be interesting for you, the intervals, the latencies, the amplitudes, the durations of your responses, everything which is relevant for the emotional expressions, specifically the expressions like anger or pain, something related to the activation of this group of muscles. Well, feel free to address any of your questions in the comments. Put your likes. Don't forget to subscribe. I post videos not very often, but I hope that when I finally manage to do it, it can be relevant and interesting for you.